The pain and the pleasure all comes together. Here's the reason why.
There's no reason why.
No, I'm making it to I'm gonna explain why there's pain and pleasure when you read Nanatsu no Taizai, otherwise known as the 7 Deadly Sins.
An okay series.
And you're gonna be your tour guide, Annie.
And I am the one who wants a refund, Minty.
And this is FunUntitled, where we serve every podcast with an FU. So, Nanatsu no Taizai, not to be confused with the porn that came out at the same time season 2 came out, is a story by Nakaba Suzuki, and I know a lot about it because I was unfortunately part of the fandom.
The very small fandom that dispersed almost immediately after it formed.
The Tumblr had a really small fandom. Spanish Twitter loves Nanatsu no Taizai, or the 7 Deadly Sins.
Really?
Yes. And I remember we were both kind of psyched about this series because we was all obsessed with the sins ever since FMA, Fullmetal Alchemist.
I know, I was going to open up with lust, gluttony, envy, greed, sloth, pride, wrath. Your favorite characters from the greatest series of all time, FMA.
So, the series is around a girl named Elizabeth Leones, her whole goal is to find the 7 Deadly Sins. Now, I'm going to say the summary of 7 Deadly Sins all the way up to where Minty's caught up. So, for people who knows what I'm talking about, that's right before the Chaos arc. And for everyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, we're going to go a little bit past where the anime is now. So, spoilers ahead.
It makes no sense, the last arc. It should have ended before. It just makes more sense.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Establishing shot. We first meet the Boar Hat Tavern. It's a bar run by a man named Meliodas. Doesn't have a last name. And he meets someone named Elizabeth Leones who's like, "Oh, I need to find the 7 Deadly Sins to save my kingdom. This knight guy is trying to do a coup d'etat." And Meliodas is like, what do you get if you're the 7 Deadly Sins? And Elizabeth held up one coupon. And Meliodas rips off his sleeves to reveal his tattoo that proves he is the Dragon Sin of Wrath, Meliodas, the captain of the 7 Deadly Sins, who went into banishment, I believe 10 years prior, because they was framed for a crime they didn't commit.
What was the coupon? One boob groping? That's a lot of weird boob groping, and I feel like we're in an age where we gotta cut that shit out.
Okay, so if you know the Shonen Jump series and the publications, you have Shonen Jump who has really big boobs, and then you have Weekly Shonen, a competitor series, where it's a lot of boobs groping. You're gonna touch the boobs in this one.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, Fairy Tail, Nanatsu no Taizai. I don't know any other Weekly Shonen.
No, go on. I know the list is expansive in your brain.
Attack on Titans.
Attack on Titan got no boobs.
Titan boobs?
There's no Titan boobs.
Anyways, just know there's an animal mascot named Hawk, and I hate him.
Oh.
He's a talking pig.
I don't like him either, actually.
And the reason why Meliodas' bar is named the Boar's Hat is because his bar is a little tiny hat on top of a giant green pig.
I have never put that 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So that's Hawk's mom, so we call her Hawk's mama. So moving on, we're going to find the next sin, the serpent sin of envy, Diane, in the Forest of White Dreams.
She is my absolute favorite character of this entire series. She's so cute and bubbly, and I love people with an Earth affinity. I think I actually said this during the top 10 cutest girl characters too.
We did.
I don't know if she made top 10, but I think she was definitely top 20.
So, inside the Forest of Dreams, you get to actually meet the character Girl Thunder. He kind of came up beforehand in this mini arc no one gives a shit about, but Girl Thunder is something called a Holy Knight. And Elizabeth points out, oh, those are the people trying to take over my goddamn kingdom, these Holy Knights. So, it's interesting because the dichotomy of the series is, I gotta find these people who would banish to help me fight against the police.
Dude, when Gil Thunder threw that thunder spear
oh yeah,
at Meliodas and Meliodas catches it, he's like pushed back, but like not really phased that much, and throws it right back at him, was like one of the coolest scenes ever.
Here's the problem with Meliodas. He's a very cool character, but when he keeps doing the same generic cool things over and over again, it gets a little boring after a while. So all those beginning scenes, yes, I'm with you. Those are totally Raz. has. When he gets like no conflict other than emotional conflict, it's kind of like, okay.
This isn't shoujo. Show me the enemy. Show me a good, like, fight between two equal forces. We're kind of skipping ahead, but let's get back to the next sin.
Well, by the way, that wasn't skipping ahead. That was actually going back to the arc that we was glossing over. And I should warn you, season 1 of Nanatsu no Taizai has the best animation. And then every season after that, they shift the season onto a new studio. And it got worse and worse every season.
So did the story. Season 1 is a freaking masterpiece in every single way because of the great animation and the fantastic story and just meeting new characters. Then it's like, what the fuck am I watching after that?
So, just to be clear, I didn't really explain this. Meliodas kind of knows what all the 7 sins are in a rough estimate because it's not like he didn't know where they were and couldn't find them. It's they're all in hiding, so they shouldn't be together. So he knows the next sin, the fox sin of greed, is in jail. He's basically in jail because he's a masochist who thinks he should suffer. And you think with that kind of description, you think he's a killjoy, but he's actually a pretty cool dude. Bon. Yeah, he has the power of stealing things. I was going to say everyone else's powers, but you already said Diana does, and we don't actually get to see Meliodas' powers till later.
I didn't like Bon when I first met him, but as the series went on, I liked Bon more and more.
Bon's whole slick is that he took the fountain of youth, so now he's immortal. So you can do anything to him. He's a masochist. He'll always come back up. Which later on, there's one thing that doesn't make sense, but whatever. That's a lot of things in NNT where you look back and say, now Nakaba, that wasn't right, but okay, I'll believe you on this one. Oh, you also get to meet Jericho here, and I know people like Jericho.
Let's say this from the beginning. Nanatsu no Taizai has some of the worst women in anime and manga.
Oh. He actually commented in his last series that too many people complained about how he wrote women. So in this series, he decided if I can't please them, I'm not even gonna try.
And he really doesn't try. I think he's almost trying to piss those same people off. They're not the worst, but they're pretty bad.
Yes. But moving on, we go to the capital of the dead, where we find King, who wants revenge against Bon, because like I said, Bon drank the Fountain of Youth, and the Fountain of Youth was protected by a fairy named Elaine, and it turns out Elaine was King's sister. By the way, the whole slick of the 7 deadly sins is that technically each one of the sins are supposed to be a different race. So Meliodas is redacted, Diane is a giant, Bon is supposed to be, okay, this is where things fall apart, but he's human, but he's considered immortal as a species. And then you have King, who's a fairy.
I thought you were going to talk about their crimes.
Oh, yeah. I was going to talk, we could talk about their bullshit crimes.
And what we mean is that each sin has their moniker because they committed a crime related to that sin, and Meliodas decided to just, get 7 people who just so happens to represent each of these sins. But in actuality, they were all framed. Again, they keep getting framed. These people are like forced to be framed for crimes they have not committed.
So yeah, Bon's, he's the sin of greed. His sin was basically, he stole the Fountain of Youth from Elaine, but in actuality, a red demon came, burned down the entire forest, and Elaine gave the Fountain of Youth to Bon because she fell in love with him and didn't want him to die.
We're gonna talk about Diane and King?
Yeah, we can just talk about them.
Diane was in jail because she killed a bunch of humans and she was envious of her master?
Yes, basically.
It makes no sense. Because the humans killed her master, and in a fit of envy, she kills the humans.
Well, because the humans framed Diane for killing the masters, but at that point you have to wonder, why did the humans give a shit that a giant killed a giant? That's different jurisdictions. You know what? I just remembered. I believe the humans paid the giants to take out their enemies, but then the humans turned against the giants because they're racist. So technically she killed the person that they were employing, so that's why she went to jail.
And then King is sloth.
The grisly sin of sloth.
And for some reason, this crime was not taking care of the fairy forest, which is a whole ordeal.
No, that's his sin was something else. His sin was because his best friend Hellbroom started killing a bunch of humans because what humans like to do is hunt fairies and rip off their wings to sell. So Hellbroom saw that, he was like, that's fucked up, yo, and started killing a bunch of human villages until King came and stopped them. But they were like, hey, he was killing people for about 50 years. So we're gonna charge you with the sin of sloth because you didn't do shit to stop him, which is stupid. Yeah, because the sin of sloth can also mean like just not doing anything or inact. The sin of omission.
Again, season 1 is great, but some of this shit just don't make sense.
Yeah. Anyways, you go to the capital of the dead, you meet Gila, who was great at first and became a weird brother complex character. King tries to kill Bon. Bon eventually finds Elaine in the capital of the dead, who reveals, hey brother, you left me alone for 500 years, so that's why I fell in love with the first guy who I saw. So don't kill him, you asshole, you're the real bad guy here. And King kinda introduced the fact that every sin has something called a sacred treasure. So his sacred treasure named Chastiful was like really strong, and then the other sins are like, oh shit, we wish we had all our weapons, but I either sold mine, lost mine, or got it confiscated when I went to prison.
Which is kind of lazy writing.
It's, oh my god. It's just lazy. Another thing is, these weapons was given to the 7 deadly sins by the king of Leonis. So, aka Elizabeth's father. Guess what? King, his weapon, Chastiful, comes from the goddamn fairy tree. The king didn't give him shit. And don't even get me started on the other sins where it doesn't even make sense that the king gave it to them. Motherfuckers.
We'll talk about the next one who has a sacred treasure that makes no sense.
Oh, cool. We get to go to... Okay, in the anime, they completely rewrote this arc because the next sin, the goat sin of lust, Gotha, is actually really popular in Japan, so they wanted to meet him faster. So they took out his entire arc and made it cut straight to the chase. But it didn't make sense. None of it made sense.
Let's talk about the anime version, since I think that's the one we're kind of going more toward.
Okay. So
there's not many differences between the anime and manga anyways.
the anime took out a lot of manga just to concise it more.
It's not any better than manga.
Yeah. So basically you meet Gotha, he's posing as someone named Alan, and he's hanging out with this giant armor, and everyone thinks the giant armor is actually Gotha because in the past he used to wear that armor. But it turns out in the present day, Gotha gave his armor to someone named Dale to suppress the demon blood inside him. But plot twist, that wasn't actually a demon! He was a human who drank demon blood!
Oh, so now this is when we get into the meat of the...
I want to say plot?
Yeah, plot.
So, I forget what these people are called, but basically a guy named Slater and his crew, he comes from the king's orders, or I guess someone's orders, to hunt down this
Was it the
Gotha.
Roar of Dawn?
Oh, it was!
Yeah.
Look, okay, I know there's a skies of plebes, okay? I know such
Plebes.
names.
You plebes!
So, all you need to know is that this is how you first introduce that there are knights who's taking the demon blood to become stronger, and they're called the new generation.
Where they get super awesome powers. Oh man. Gila?
Gila.
She could explode things? Actually, she didn't take the blood, did she?
Not that point. You know what? Did she ever take it? I don't know, cause
No,
she
I
didn't...
don't think she ever took it.
Yeah, she never lost control like Jericho who drinks the blood.
Right, because Jericho went from no powers to, like, speed powers?
Yeah, basically.
To then ice powers. Well, the ice powers have nothing to do with the blood, but...
Yeah, okay, whatever. And then, so we have, I think that's 5 of the 7 sins.
Mm-hmm.
And then a woman named Vivian comes and steals Elizabeth. So now they all have to go to the capital to try save Elizabeth.
Elizabeth is a very, extremely useless female character, especially in season 1.
My favorite joke is this person defending Elizabeth being like, okay, you call her weak and pathetic and then you say she has no personality? What did you just describe her as? That's her personality. And I was like, I don't think you heard what you just said.
Weak, pathetic, still no personality.
What? Yeah, then this is the end of season 1, where basically it all comes to a head, the 7 sins. Oh wait, I skipped an arc, but that's not an important arc. But I missed the arc where it was the Vazel fighting festival, where they're trying to get Diane's sacred weapon, and that's when you first find out that Meliodas has demon powers.
Oh yeah, because I think up to that point it's just been all melee fighting. Yeah, right?
Yeah, basically.
There's nothing, like, he doesn't do any magic.
I don't know who likes Meliodas. But yeah, he's the OP fanboy that you can self-project because he gets all the boob grabs.
I like his personality, actually. Well, in season 1.
But yeah, so you go through that arc, and technically in that arc, Elizabeth's sister Veronica tries to find Elizabeth, then she dies, and Elizabeth's like, alright, I hope you don't come back to life later. And I hope later on it doesn't turn out that you just broke your leg. Oh, in the fighting festival, we actually get to see that Meliodas has a girlfriend named Liz, that looks just like Elizabeth, and that's probably the reason why Meliodas was helping Elizabeth.
For an Arthur you missed, you should have a lot to say about
Because
it.
you're the one who skipped from King to Gotha.
I wrote the notes. You have the memory.
So we're doing the King infiltration. They're fighting the new generation. They're kind of fighting other Holy Knights, and the Holy Knights are kind of realizing that maybe they are the bad guys. And then
Realizing when they started turning into a demon, that wasn't the obvious sign that something's going awry.
no, when Hauser got that giant boner for Diane and was like, you know what? Maybe I'll join that guy's team. And then you kind of find out that Girl Thunder, he used to be the student of Meliodas when Meliodas was a 7th sin. He used to be a good boy. But then his lover, Margaret, who is Elizabeth's older sister, well, I guess eldest, got captured and, like, taken hostage by Vivian.
And Elizabeth is adopted.
Oh, yeah. Did we find out on this side?
Well, I mean, she doesn't look like the other two.
Oh.
She's got white hair compared to their purple ass hairs.
Then Arthur of Camelot comes for no reason whatsoever. But it's okay because he brought the boar sin of gluttony, Merlin.
Why did they have Arthur?
I don't know. I think it's just because they needed Merlin to come in. Okay, the way they write Merlin and Arthur is such hot garbage, y'all. But anyway, they defeat Hendrickson with the power of friendship, yada yada. There's a guy named, oh god, what was...
Dreyfus?
Dreyfus, yeah. He'll come important later, just know he was there.
My DILF couple.
You're the DILF couple. Then we get to season 2, the 10 Commandment arc. And it's funny because season 1 ends in a way where no one knows why season 1 ended that way. Because season 1 covered 100 chapters, and we were past 100 chapters by the time season 1 ended. So why did it end that way? No one knows, but it's okay because they retconned it first episode of season 2 saying it was all a dream.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, not everything. It's just, okay, the end of season 1, right? They basically all just separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Meliodas and Elizabeth was the only one to go find Escanor.
Right.
But in season 2, Elizabeth wakes up and was like, oh, did that not happen? Are we all still here? Okay.
Oh, okay. Season 1 actually had a very weak ending. I did not like the way they defeated the main enemy, Hendrickson.
With the power of friendship.
With the power of friendship.
Yeah.
It's like the end of Fairy Tale.
But anyways, we get to the 10 Commandment arcs where it turns out that Meliodas had a little sword handle that was one of the seals to the coffin of eternal darkness. That is the coffin where they put all the demons in. And somehow demons are leaking out from the seal and they're gonna have to go try to find out. But in order to open the coffin of eternal darkness, they need something from every race. But the problem is, we don't have anything from the angel race or the demon race because those species are gone from the last holy war. But what if I told you Elizabeth had angel blood and they had a little sword from Meliodas to represent the demon?
All they needed was Elizabeth's blood?
So there was a scene where Elizabeth was like bleeding out and Dreyfus was like trying to stop the bleeding with a piece of cloth, and then he just took that cloth and left.
Oh.
Turns out Dreyfus was possessed by a demon named Faldrin who opened the fancy coffin of eternal darkness, and Bond went, cool, I don't give a shit, I'm leaving. And King is like, you can't leave, I'm gonna chase after you. And then Jericho's like, well, I have nowhere else to be, not like I have any character growth here. And Meliodas is like, okay, I guess you're just gonna go, I'm gonna go to Camelot because the king told me that Camelot's endangered. Meliodas goes to Camelot, he gets his weapon Lost Vein from Merlin, who had it for some reason. Merlin's only role in the series is to be a plot device.
And boob.
And boob. So like, oh, you don't have your sacred weapon? I got it. Oh, Diane, you need a shrink so that way we can draw you easier in the panel? I got it. I make a bunch of magic shit. I got it. Oh, Gotha, you're actually a doll who doesn't have any feelings, and I can turn you back into a doll because somehow I was trained by your master / creator.
Merlin is probably the best female character though.
Until season 3.
Until season 3.
So yeah, so Bond is saying, I'm gonna go to the fairy forest. King is saying, you can't, when the forest burned down, when my sister died and you took the fountain of youth. And Bond's like, yeah, guess what, bitch? We made it while I was in prison. And they go to the fairy forest. King does this whole emotional shit about, maybe I'm not fit to be king. But then all the fairies are like, you know what? You can be our king. You risked your life for us when you fought that other demon coming towards us.
Is that what happened? I thought he found catharsis of not having to be the king anymore. And then he got a power up when, Grey demon attacked?
It was a white demon.
White demon.
Albion. But yeah, no, he didn't get catharsis. His name is King. You think he got catharsis not being king?
He's not the king still at the end of the series.
Well, because if you remember, there's a scene where Hellbourne says, "Hey, King, just, you've done enough. You don't have to be king anymore. Just let us take care of the forest and protect you now."
That's the catharsis.
But the king said, "No, fuck you! I'm gonna get a sunflower."
And yet we're not making you king still! Bon is still the king of the fairy forest, despite not being a fairy.
Yeah, that's really stupid. No, okay, that scene is actually really stupid because King, at the end, there's a character named Gloxinia who's like, "I'm leaving you to be king now, you're king." And then Dro, another guy who's the previous king of the giants, was like, "And Diane, you shall be the new queen." And then they both died, and then King and Diane doesn't become the kings and queens. Anyway, they might come up in the next sequel. They keep going back and forth, but I'm just gonna go how I remember it. So King and Bon, they had that little kerfuffle at the fairy forest, and then I think King goes back to Meliodas for some gay reason, and then Bon and Jericho are gonna travel back to Bon's hometown. I forget why. I think Bon wanted to see his dad.
His dad.
He did. He talks to his dad, and he's dying dad, who's like, "Hey dad, in the last arc, I tried to kill Meliodas to bring back my dead girlfriend Elaine. Was that fucked up, or am I good?" And then the dad was like, "I'm so glad you have friends. You had like none when I took you in as a boy. Now I'm gonna die. But just remember, I was never your real dad." And Bon's like, "Yeah, I know. Shut up, dad." And then they run into Galen and Meliskila. They are part of the 10 Commandments. I'll go into like I said, the 10 Commandments are released when they get Elizabeth's blood, and they're out there gathering souls to eat. So Bon is like, "Are you trying to eat my dad's soul?" And then when Elaine comes back, don't fucking ask me how, because it's implied Meliskila can bring back anyone from the dead, but you would assume like every goddamn Dick and Harry would be coming back from the dead if Elaine, the fairy that died 10 years ago, came back.
Oh!
Or 20 years ago. She died some point.
Wasn't it 50? Because Bon's been alive for like 50 years, right?
Yeah, so it might have been 20 years then, because he drank it. So Bon is 50 years old in the series. He drank the potion when he was in his mid-20s.
Oh.
Yeah, so they fight Galen and Meliskila, and then they eventually runs into the Lion Sin of Pride, Escanor.
He's actually a very cool character.
He's a very cool character. It's a shame what they do with him later on. And then, so they meet Escanor. His power is that in the daytime, he is the most OP piece of shit you have ever seen in your life. But then, when it hits nighttime, he becomes like a really weak dude.
Yeah, so his power gradually grows and weakens. As it grows towards noon, he gets stronger. Then as it goes towards midnight, he gets weaker.
Now we're gonna bounce back to Meliodas. So Meliodas, he went to Camelot. He got his sacred weapon, Lost Vein, back. Basically, Meliodas' power is that he can counter any attack. So with Lost Vein, he can clone himself multiple times, and they can all counter the attack back at the enemy.
Without losing strength.
Yes.
Because, isn't that something like, even when he divides his strength?
So basically, every time he divides with the sword, and if anyone else used it, the power would be divided in half. But for Meliodas, all his power comes from countering other people's attacks. So it doesn't matter that his own attack is divided.
Okay, because I was thinking, that's something interesting.
Yes. So then, the 10 Commandments comes out. Meliodas reveals that one of the 10 Commandments was his brother Zeldris, and they're all kind of demons. And Meliodas used to be the captain of the 10 Commandments before he fell in love with, Redacted. I'm not sure if they attacked this in season 2. Anyways, so Meliodas is like, "Alright, Merlin, if my brother and all the other 10 Commandments are here, I'm gonna need my own demon powers back. Show me where you locked it up, because..."
Annie has taken off the glasses. She's wiping the sweat out of her brow as she explains the next part.
Like 10 years ago, when they got framed for the attack, this little girl that Meliodas was in love with got hurt, and Meliodas was going to go ballistic on the kingdom. So Merlin had to lock away his powers so he wouldn't go ballistic. And thus Merlin took his demon powers away. And what you have to understand about NNT, every couple has pedophilic themes.
Oh, we're attacking this now. Okay. Let's get it. Let's do it.
So...
Wait, can you talk about that without spoiling it?
I'm not going to talk about the first one, but I'll talk about 2 other ones. Belaine and Kian. So, Belaine's really easy. Bon and Elaine is because Elaine looks like she's fucking 5. Bon is twice as tall as her, sometimes 4 times as tall as her. So it's really, really creepy when you have to watch Bon help Elaine into like underwear. This is manga only, by the way, because it looks like adult man helping a child into her underwear.
That really kind of killed the couple for you, right?
It did. It's so hard for me to ship it now. And then you have Kian, who King met when Diane was a child, fell in love with Diane as a child. They promised to get married, and then King kind of never got over that crush.
Okay, to be fair, he promised to love her forever.
Okay.
Not to necessarily get married.
Okay.
And he wiped her memories of him.
Yes.
And left for like 200-300 years.
Yeah.
So he didn't groom her. I mean, she gets her memories back, and then she falls in love with him. Maybe it is grooming.
Oh, yeah, we totally forgot. Wait, okay, we can talk about the Diane part now, actually. Like I said, there's 3 different parts. But anyway, actually, let me go with Meliodas real fast. He goes to the Druid country. He meets a bunch of other angels who's inhabiting humans' bodies. I think her name was like Jennifer and Zoe. That wasn't her name.
Zoe 101.
So he meets the angels inside, and then that's when Elizabeth finds out that she kind of has an angel inside her too. And then she gets like really mental problems because she finds out that Meliodas has never got over the death of his ex-girlfriend Liz.
You know, this introduced that they have power numbers.
Oh, yeah.
That are so arbitrary, and they jump from like 1 to 1,000 to like 1,000,000 so fast, but they're so arbitrary, and the battles are just extremely one-sided.
Yes. Now we can jump to Diane, who, like we said, she got her memories back and was like, oh, I'm not in love with Meliodas. I'm in love with, by the way, she was only in love with Meliodas, so that way she could be the whole sin of envy against Elizabeth. So I'm glad that was very short-lived. But yeah, so she gets her memories back. I forget how. I think when she was fighting and she got her head knocked out.
Yeah. God, what the hell happened?
She remembers she's actually in love with King. She was gonna confess to King. But then she found out that Gotha was being a piece of shit who was like, I'm manipulating Gila into loving me because I saw Meliodas and Bon get stronger when they had boners. So I would wish to feel the same. And Diane is like, you can't manipulate people's feelings like that. They'll be there no matter what. And Gotha's like, alright, what if I erase all your fucking memories of King? Let's see if you still think the same way. And Diane runs away because she's like, I don't know any of you people. I'm gonna run and find Matrona, my master that I killed. But because my memories are gone, I don't remember killing her.
Dick move, but I actually kinda like it.
Man, Diane losing her memories twice, but it's highly criticized in the NNT family.
No, that part is dumb.
Yes.
But I just love that Gotha is following his line of logic.
Oh.
Because sometimes characters are just doing things for the plot.
Yeah.
And this kind of is too, but the way it was written, it really did feel more like in character to Gotha. And like, well, are memories important? I can just fake them, right? And it's like, and if you're challenging him, then he wants you to prove him wrong.
Yes.
So, logic, dick move.
Yeah.
100%. But it makes logic sense for him that I thought it was good writing for a character.
Okay. So Diane runs away. She actually does run into Matrona, who turns out she survived all those years ago because a human came and saved her. And then she fell in love with that human for some reason. I think they got married because now she's raising that human's kid from a previous marriage.
They did get married. Does that also have pedophilic vibes?
No, because they knew each other as adults.
But he's like way smaller than her.
Well, whatever. And so that didn't really come to a head to literally anything. So we had 3 storylines in the 10 Commandments. We had Meliodas getting his demon powers back. We had Bon and King going to the fairy forest for a bit and then finding the lion's sin of pride. Then we had Diane's stupid story. And
don't say that. I like Diane.
Okay, Diane's story. If anyone's wondering, Gotha is now a doll. And he gets turned back into a non-Barbie doll when it's convenient.
Because he's an asshole.
And they all meet up at the Basil, but that's where they had the first fighting tournament. Now they're having a squeakquel because everyone liked the first one. And that is 2 more commandments are in charge of that tournament. And it turns out to be Gloxinia and Dro, the previous kings of the giants and the fairies.
That we briefly mentioned before.
Yeah, spoiler, we already spoiled they died.
What? We didn't. Whatever.
So they're basically all fighting, and eventually it comes to a head where Eskuno is fighting Gota, but he's like, I'm not gonna hurt my friend. So he attacks Droll and Gloxinia, and Meliodas is like, oh, hell yeah, we getting to it. And then the entire 10 Commandment comes and they're like, we heard you talking shit. Meliodas fights them all, everyone else runs away like little pusses. And yeah, Meliodas loses. He gets all his 7 demon hearts stabbed by Estarossa, his younger brother?
Younger?
Yeah, it's his younger brother, baby.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, cause...
Soldiers, you middle child drama kid.
And then, I think we will end it there, because that's where season 2 ends.
Oh.
Well, technically season 2 ends with... This is where I think season 2 should have ended. How about that?
Okay.
Meliodas is dead. That is all you need to know about NNT. We'll probably have to make a part 2 now.
Yeah, because it's gotten so damn long. Because you remember every little frickin' detail of this damn series that is just okay.
The fandom, small. The people in it, goddamn batshit crazy. I have to remember every single thing. But thanks for coming.
What did they say? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
That could be it. Anyways, check me out in NNT Volume 39. I'm in there.
Oh, spoiler. They're gonna figure out who you are.
Shit!